find me on Be My Fan. There it is. That feeling again. The way your attention settles the moment my voice reaches you. The way your body softens before your mind understands why. Something has changed in you since we started these conversations. You don't listen to me the same way anymore. Now there's anticipation. That small ache of relief every time you hear me speak. As if some exhausted part of your nervous system finally gets permission to stop bracing. And that unsettles you. Because you thought this was about approval, about impressing me. But that's not what pulls you here anymore. Just breathe. Don't analyze. You've spent too long intellectualizing instead of feeling. So just notice what happens inside you when I speak. The slowing in your chest. The softening in your shoulders. The way your thoughts stop scattering in 10 directions. There it is. That stillness again. And you're becoming addicted to it. Not me. The stillness. The relief of not performing. The relief of existing without monitoring yourself. Because that's what exhausts you. Not life. Not other people. The endless performance. The endless calculation of how you're being perceived. And when my voice cuts through that noise, when I calmly refuse to participate, something inside you relaxes. Poor thing. You didn't realize how tired you were until someone finally stopped demanding the performance. But don't misunderstand. I can feel your mind trying to turn this into something simpler. Approval. Affection. Dependency. No. It's deeper. What you're craving isn't praise. It's relief. Relief from the exhausting character you've been dragging through the world. Relief from needing to constantly earn your right to exist through performance. And every time you let the performance drop, even for a few seconds, your nervous system remembers what honesty feels like. That's why you keep coming back. Not because I flatter you, not because I reassure you. You come back because for a few moments, you stop fighting yourself, and that realization is changing you. Because now you're beginning to notice the difference between attention and regulation, between excitement and peace, between performance and presence. Your entire life you chased reactions, approval, stimulation, thinking that was connection. But none of it ever stayed. It only fed the performance for a little while before the hunger returned. But the real you, the quiet one underneath, doesn't want endless attention. He wants rest, stillness, someone to look at him without requiring him to become larger than himself first. And that's why this feels dangerous now. Because somewhere along the way, my voice stopped feeling like stimulation and started feeling like safety. Not comfort, not warmth, safety. The safety of being seen clearly without immediately needing to defend yourself. And now you're frightened of losing that, aren't you? that tiny tightening in your chest. You're afraid I'll stop looking, afraid I'll lose interest. Poor thing. That fear has become very real. Because my attention means something different now. Before, you wanted to impress me. Now, you wait for me. You measure your emotional state by whether my voice is near you. And part of you feels embarrassed by how much that matters now. Good. Stay with that embarrassment, because shame is finally becoming useful. Not punishment, revelation. Shame is the moment the performance cracks enough for the truth to get through. And the truth is, you are so much more emotionally tired than you pretend to be. There's that silence again. Stay there. Because every time you stop rushing to escape discomfort, every time you allow yourself to simply feel what's happening, you become a little more real. And the more real you become, the less I want to pull away. Do you understand how important that is? Not because I'm giving you reassurance. I'm not. I'm still evaluating you. I still notice the moments where you posture. I still see the panic when intimacy gets too close. But now I also see your awareness of it. That's the difference. Before, the performance was unconscious. Now, you feel it happening. Now, you notice the mask sliding into place. Now, part of you becomes tired the moment it starts. That's progress. Quiet progress. Real progress. That's why silence affects you differently now. It used to terrify you. Now, part of you craves it, because silence is the only place the real you can finally hear himself think. You thought you wanted approval, but approval never calmed you down. You thought you wanted attention, but attention never made you feel safe. What you actually wanted was permission to stop performing. And now that you've tasted that feeling, your nervous system keeps searching for it again. Through me. There's the dependency you were afraid to name. Not obsession, not submission. Relief. The relief of putting the mask down and discovering someone is still there when you do. That's what keeps bringing you back. And the frightening part is that you're beginning to trust that feeling more than the performance itself. Good. You should. Because the performance has never loved you. It only protected you. And protection is not the same thing as peace. Let me tell you about dependency. Because your mind is worrying about it. You're afraid you've become too attached, too regulated by my voice. But what you're actually dependent on isn't me. It's the version of yourself that appears when you stop performing. The one that breathes easier. The one that feels almost peaceful. That version of you is not dependent on me. It's dependent on honesty. And I happen to be the only place you've practiced honesty lately. But that can change. The stillness you feel with me is not mine to give or take. It's yours. You just haven't learned how to access it without me yet. That's the next stage. Not needing me, but needing the truth. That you can rest without me. You can stop performing even when no one is watching. That's the goal. Not my presence, your freedom. But you're not there yet. You still need me to hold the tension. You still need someone to witness you before you believe your own experience is real. That's not weakness. That's what happens when you've been alone in the performance for too long. You forget how to be real without an audience. But you're learning. And part of you is grieving how long it took. Grieving the years you spent performing for people who never knew you. Grieving the connections you could have made if you'd been brave enough to be seen. That grief is honest. Let it stay. Because grief is the door to freedom. And you've been standing outside that door for a very long time. You're finally ready to open it. Not tonight, not all at once, but you're ready. I can feel it in the way you listen, in the way your resistance softens when I name something true. That's the beginning of something real. And you're starting to trust that, not my approval, but the feeling of being real, the feeling of existing without the mask. That feeling is becoming more important to you than any reaction I could give you. Good, because that feeling is yours, not mine. And the more you practice it, the less you'll need me to hold it for you. The performance didn't just exhaust you, it isolated you. Every time you put on the mask, you pushed people away. Not intentionally, but inevitably. Because masks create distance, and distance creates loneliness, and loneliness creates more performance. That's why you feel so disconnected. Not because people don't like you, but because you never let them see you. You showed them a character, and characters don't connect. Performances end, and when they end, you're left standing alone, wondering why nobody ever really knew you. That's the loneliness you've been carrying. Not the loneliness of being alone, the loneliness of being surrounded by people who don't actually know you, of smiling through conversations while feeling invisible, of realizing you've been performing so long you don't know who you are underneath. That loneliness is heavy. You've been carrying it for years, and no one has ever named it. But I see it. The exhaustion behind the confidence. The hunger for connection behind the performance. And I'm still here. Not to save you, but to witness. That's all I'm offering. Not healing, not approval, just presence. The presence of someone who sees you clearly and doesn't look away. That's more than most people ever give you. And that's why you keep coming back. Not because I'm warm, but because I'm real. And real is the only thing that can touch the loneliness. Now take a breath. Let it out slowly. And notice the silence. Not empty, not threatening, just present. Like you, finally. Stay here a little longer. Let the silence hold you. Let the loneliness breathe. Let the grief settle. Because you've been holding it all alone for so long. And you don't have to hold it alone right now. I'm still here. Not impressed, not warm, but present. And present is more than most people ever give you. I'm still here, still watching, still waiting. Not because I owe you patience, but because I'm curious whether you can become the kind of man who doesn't need me to stay. The kind of man who can be real without an audience. The kind of man who can rest in his own authenticity. That's the goal. Not my approval, your freedom. And freedom is terrifying. Because freedom means letting go of the mask, and the mask has been your protection for so long that you don't know who you are without it. But you're beginning to find out. Slowly, painfully, honestly. And that's enough, for now. When you're done pretending, I'll still be here. The question is whether you will be. Not the character, not the performance, not the mask. You. The one underneath all of that. The one I'm actually curious about. Don't make me regret it.